Okay, so here's the deal. I need to find the sine of 90 degrees. Hopefully you know how to do this by now. You go to 90. You just need a point on the terminal side. I think the easiest one to use is 0, 1. That way your r equals 1. You need to know that sine is y over r. So your y coordinate is 1. Your r is 1. So sine of 90 is 1. And then the square of 1 is still 1. So that's what this sine squared business means. Find the sine of the angle, or whatever the trig function is, and then square that number. And then we have to find cosine. Cosine. Same deal. We have to find the cosine of 90 and then square that bad boy. We're still at 90 degrees. Sweet. This point is still, I think, a great candidate to use. It's what I recommend that you use. You need to know that cosine is x over r.
So then what's the squared part?
You're just squaring the number that you get after you do the trig function. And sometimes it doesn't matter. Like when you square 1, it's still 1. And then here you're going to get 0. And when you square 0, you get 0. But sometimes it does matter. X is 0. R is who cares? IDC. So this is 0. And 0 times itself is still 0. So to finish up for number 22, sine squared 90 plus cosine squared 90. Just substitute now. We found that the sine squared of 90 degrees was 1. So replace that with 1. And we found that the cosine squared of 90 degrees was 0. So replace this with 0. Really hard math here. 1 plus 0. Very good.
Wait, I don't get how you got like the line X.
So, you know that how 90 degrees ends up here, right? Now what you need to do is find a point that's on that. 0, comma anything that's positive will work, right? But I think the easiest one is 0, comma 1.
Oh, okay.
If you use that choice, then the r, which is the hypotenuse, is just 1. Then you know, hopefully by now, that sine is y over r. So you look at the y coordinate, it's 1. And you look at the r, it's 1. So 1 over 1 is 1. Okay? Any other questions on 22? Okay. Random helper. Anthony. Anthony, please first guide me through how to find the cotangent of 90 degrees without looking at my notes or looking at a calculator screen, something like that.
Honestly, I'm a little confused.
All right, I'm here to help. That's what they pay me millions of dollars for. So this is what I would do. I would draw a coordinate plane. And you need to know that 90 degrees is up here. If you're talking about standard position. Are you with me still? Yes? No?
Yes.
All right. Now what you need to do is find a point that's on this terminal side. Hopefully you know that on the y-axis, the x-coordinates are always 0. So you can do 0, comma any positive number.
0, 1.
That, I think, is the easiest one to work with. Cotan is easy, like tangent, because you don't need to calculate the hypotenuse, otherwise known as r. So you just take the ratio of the x to the y coordinate. You do need to know the trig definitions. You need to know that this is x over y. Okay? So just do 0 divided by 1. Okay? And that is 0. So we got that part down.
Is that the squared part?
The squared part is just going to square 0, so it remains 0.
So like say it was 2. You would do 2 squared.
Exactly. And thank you for bringing up a different example. Okay, so we got the first part of this down. Anthony, let's do secant 180. So you tell me, where's 180?
What do you mean on the
If you were to graph 180 in standard position,
straight line?
straight line, and is the terminal side going to the left or to the right?
Move left.
Yep. We're trying to find secant. Anthony, tell me the definition of that, please.
Like what it is.
What I'm asking for is it like opposite over?
Oh, hypotenuse over opposite.
That would be cosecant.
There's 5 there.
Thank you very much. And what I recommend, Anthony, is that you also know the definitions in terms of x, y, and r. I think they're very helpful with these types of problems. Your hypotenuse is r. Your adjacent is x. For the x part, you just have to find an x coordinate that's on this ray, the terminal side we call it. So what do you think is an easy one to work with?
It has to be negative, right?
Very good.
So negative 1.
Yeah. And Anthony, on the x-axis, what are all the y coordinates? 0. The great part about using 1 or negative 1 when you're doing the points here is it makes the r 1. R is the distance from the origin to the point. It's also the hypotenuse, it's also the radius once we start talking about circles. So now, Anthony, you have all the information you need to find the secant of 180 degrees.
So it's just 1 over 0.
It's 1 over negative 1. Because that's the x,
okay,
that's the y, as per Monsieur Descartes.
Okay.
So 1 over negative 1 is negative 1. Okay, so the secant of 180 degrees is negative 1. Now let's do the problem here, like at the final step, I mean. We found cotan squared of 90, it's 0. And we found secant of 180, it's negative 1. Okay, so Anthony, 0 minus negative 1.
Negative
The
1.
double negative, remember, in math, 2 wrongs make a right.
Oh,
Okay.
1.
Yep. Any questions on 23? Okay. Let's do una más, I think. You tell me which one you want to do. 24, 25, 26, 27? 26. You got it. Jake, why don't you help us with that one? Tell me how to find cotan 270. Good. Where's 270? Down. Good. Give me a point. One comma negative 1 is here. Try again. Negative 1, 0 is here. I like that. Okay, tell me the definition of cotan. Mm-hmm. In terms of x, y, and r? That would be tangent. There you go. What's your x? And your y?
-1.
Yeah, but who cares? Okay, so cotan is going to be 0. There you go. You're just filling in. It's a puzzle, and you're just finding the pieces of the puzzle. So cotan 270, we found what it stands for. It's 0. Okay, because of lack of time, I'll do the rest. Yeah, whoa, whoa. It's 8 times. Okay, our next objective is to find cosine 180. No problem. 180, the point I suggest is -1, 0. Cosine is x over r. And remember, r equals 1 with these points. So it's -1 divided by 1. Which is -1. So it's plus 8 times -1. And then the last one, secant 360. 360 is here. A point I suggest would be 1, 0. You need to know that secant is r over x. The r is 1 with these points I use. So it's 1 over 1, which is 1. And it's actually plus 5 secant squared of 360. So it will be plus 5 times 1 squared, which is still 1. So this is the thing that I am evaluating here. So it's 0 minus 8 plus 5, which is -3 sour cream.